Prabhupada, let's pray to Prabhupada. We cannot, yeah, we cannot approach the Lord. We have to approach through his servant, through the spiritual master. A spiritual master, specifically a collective spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnu Vadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vachaline Nivasesha Sunyavadi Pashtatara Satarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Okay, let's see. Okay, you can see a box. And now you can see this box. Hare Krishna. Okay. Okay, so we've been studying actually for a couple of weeks, and probably go another couple of weeks as well. There's this wonderful subject, which is unsteady devotional service. Very interesting. It's going to help to teach us how to become steady in our devotional practice. So we've been going through this the last couple of weeks. So we're here. So we've been looking at what is unsteadiness, what its symptoms are, what it looks like here in these slides here. We've been getting into some detail of what it actually is, what it actually looks like. So now, interesting discussion is now acts that increase unsteadiness. As we mentioned, newly formed habits or bad habits, newly formed while executing devotional service, are often the result of offences. There's still people coming in. 1 second. Yeah. I mean, we come with enough baggage coming from previous lives, but that baggage is generally easily purified through the practice of even, you could say, unsteady devotional service. A lot of it gets purified just by taking up the process. But what becomes difficult is through offences that we then develop more baggage. We bring more baggage upon ourselves by offences. So we're going to look at that. So newly formed, Marge describes it, or it's described as unwanted habits as a consequence of offences. Then that's one. Then there's also mistakes, just basic mistakes that we make in practicing devotional service. So there's two that we're going to look at here. One is the unwanted, our unwanted habits that are formed from offences that increase unsteadiness. And then there's mistakes that's made in the practice of devotional service, sometimes even unintentional due to lack of knowledge. So now the first one, unwanted habits that come from offenses. Generally, we're speaking here about offenses to the holy name. Not those that are committed in deity worship. So it's two here. We have nama parad and we have seva aparad. So seva aparad, I'm sure some of us might know, the offense is done while executing devotional service. That can be by reciting prayers that we do when we engage in deity worship. Those prayers, mantra hinam, kriya hinam, bhakti hinam, janatana, yapoditam mayam deva, paripuram tarastumi, etc., etc. And we have to put our heart into it as well. We have to be attentive to those prayers. Sometimes we may not be so attentive, but it's good to be attentive and to say the prayers with our heart. Yeah. Then any offenses that we have made in seva, they can be easily nullified. Also, you can chant a chapter of the Bhagavad Gita as well. It's also described like that. Now, the problem comes is in committing one of the some or one or all of the 10 offenses against the holy name. Now, especially, as you can imagine, offenses against Vaishnavas. Doesn't matter whether so-called big Vaishnava or small Vaishnava, that creates further, or that can create further obstructions on our devotional path. So, what are the 10 offenses? We recite these each morning in the temple. Um, it's good, I mean, probably a good few devotees here. Most of you are not brahmacharinis or brahmacharis, but we in the temple, you're familiar, I'm sure, that we chant this every morning before we begin our japa. So it's good, if you're not chanting this every day, it's good to visit them every now and again and to be reminded. So, oh, someone else is coming. Yeah. So 10 offenses to the holy name. So what should devotees do if they commit any of these offenses? Well, one, if we know the specific act that caused the offense, yeah, we should rectify it, yeah. So, for example, if one offends a Vaishnava, which, from my honest, I guess from my experience, I mean, there might be those who join who never offend a devotee, but sometimes I think it's unavoidable in the beginning stages of Krishna consciousness. Now, because the intent is not, because it might not be done with intent, then it might not be actually so serious. It becomes serious when one offends a Vaishnava with wicked intent. Then it's serious. The point I'm trying to make here is that it's going to happen. Due to our conditioned nature, we're going to upset a Vaishnava. We're going to upset another devotee. Sometimes, yeah, unintentionally. So we want to have the humility and the gravity of what we've done and be able to fall at the feet of the offended Vaishnava and beg for forgiveness. And I've had that experience myself where I've offended a devotee. I've spoke harshly, I've spoke wrongly, and I'm sure some of us might share the experience. We feel a heavy weight shadow seems to come on the heart or on top of the head. But if you can muster up the humility, and we should muster up the humility, even if it's a junior devotee, and pray for forgiveness, then you will feel almost, sometimes it can be almost immediately you feel relief because Krishna's pleased. Krishna's pleased with your humility. So by pleasing Krishna, then you feel a sense of joy will come back again. So it's something we should be aware of. It's something that we should do if we do make an offences to Vaishnavas. And we'll see as we go on in this discussion, we'll see it's as we go on discussing this, it can cause quite some impediments in our spiritual life, these 10 offences. Yeah. Now, what to do is sometimes the offence may be yeah, so what I'm trying to say here, yeah. But what if the Vaishnava fails, or if some reason the Vaishnava fails to offer forgiveness? Sometimes it may be like that. The devotee may be so fried or so upset that one may be apologizing, but the devotee is not ready to give forgiveness. I mean, it's not a it's you can say it's not a mechanical thing. It's very, very personal. So a devotee may be greatly offended. You know? So what to do then? Um, you should describe. This is from Harinam Chintamani. You should meaningly serve that Vaishnava until the Vaishnava does offer his or her forgiveness. Now, Vaishnavas are soft-hearted. That is a Vaishnava. They are soft-hearted. So they may not be, for one reason or another, they may not immediately want to forgive you for the offenses that you made. So you should find ways and means to meaningfully serve them. Yeah. I remember I had this experience, me and yeah, he was a friend, but still, we was peers. This was many years ago. So sometimes the association would get a bit familiar. So sometimes we would overstep the mark, so to speak. So I think so. One time I think I upset my friend devotee, and I asked for forgiveness, and he wasn't so inclined. I forget the details now. So then what I did, what I did, I saw his dhoti hanging up and his, kurta. So I waited till it was dry and I took it down and I folded it really nicely. And I got some maha flowers. And I put it on top of his dhoti and kurta. I put it really nicely in his locker, you know, and it melted his heart, and he smiled and he forgave me, so that was, so now also Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he advises similar measures to mitigate the other nine kinds of offenses. Here you can see them here. Um, so let's just go through them. Again, this is from Harinam Chintamani. So the first one we've mentioned, the blasphemy devotees who dedicate their lives to the holy name of the Lord. I mean, sometimes it happens. Those very Vaishnavas who created an atmosphere that made you feel welcome in a temple, those very Vaishnavas which gave you service, those very Vaishnavas that gave you that gave you instructions in devotional service, sometimes one turns against them, you know, due to the process of, or for one reason or another, due to anatas, etc. And one may offend the very Vaishnavas who have given them shelter. Yeah. So as we mentioned, one should beg forgiveness from those Vaishnavas. It said the number one, serve those who serve the Lord and appreciate those good qualities. That doesn't, yeah. Mm. So to consider the chanting, well, you can read it. Number two, one should worship Krishna as the ultimate enjoyer and a controller and friend. Respect great personalities like Lord Shiva and Brahma as being exalted devotees of Krishna. But it doesn't quite make sense. Let me just read this here. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma, kanda. Yes. So here one should worship Krishna. Yeah. Yeah, there's many directions given in the Vedas. A lot of the Vedic scriptures speak about karma kanda. So sometimes when we hear about the holy name, someone may think it's just the same. It's just the same thing. In the Vedas, it says you can do this, you can do that to relieve of this sinful activity. You can do this, you can do that, and you can get this result. Sometimes we think the chanting Hare Krishna is just the same, but it's not. The chanting Hare Krishna can actually give you pure love and reinstate you in your constitutional position. It's not just a ritual. It's not a fruitive ritual. It's the ultimate dharma of the soul. And third one, to instruct the faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Um, Says here to follow the orders of the spiritual master with enthusiasm and attention to detail. So we should be aware, we should not want to preach, we should be careful what we're preaching to whom. There's Preaching is a great art, and what you may instruct one person, then you won't instruct another person, especially about the glories and the details of the holy to those who don't have faith. So we should be careful of that, you know. And if there's an offense done in that regard, then we should follow the orders of the spiritual master with enthusiasm and attention to detail, as described here. Um, Yeah, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be in imagination. That means we should study the sastras which describe about the glories of the holy name. Uh, to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord, again, we should study given the glories of the holy name given by the acharyas. To commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name, Prabhupada in some places mentions this is the most grievous offense, to use the holy name as sometimes described as a doormat to justify one's sinful activities. Then one thinks, oh, because the holy name is purifying, it doesn't matter so much because on Saturday, if I do this and I do that and I do this sinful act, then on Saturday I'll chant an extra 16 rounds and it'll be okay. Yeah, that's an offense. Yeah, the idea of chanting the holy name is supposed to purify us. We're not supposed to, on the strength of the holy name, engage in sinful activity. So it says here, perhaps I should have looked at this a bit more deeply in Harinam Chintamani, because it says here, number 6, experience the holy name as transcendental sound descending from the spiritual world. Yeah, so that's the means of overcoming this offense, to chant with attention and experience the potency and the manifestation of Krishna within the holy name. And number 7, to consider chanting Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritual activities. Well, oh yeah, I've got this wrong, isn't it? We've already spoke about that. Okay, I should have perhaps looked at this a bit more closely. Number 7 is the same as number 2. Number 8, to instruct. Oh yeah, I've got this. Okay, I've got this all upside down and inside out. With number 8's already been there. So okay, I'll have to perhaps give this another shot next week. But number 9, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. Yeah, so many instructions we're hearing, so many instructions. And after hearing so many instructions, still to maintain material attachments, that's considered an offense to the holy name. Yeah. So described here to discuss the glories of the holy name in association of devotees. And this here is also considered to be an offense to be inattentive while chanting. So we're going to look at that a bit more here next. But any questions from that? Might have been a bit confusing. Perhaps I'll clarify it more next week. Um, sometimes we may feel the result, or we may not be aware exactly of what offense we may have made, but we can feel there's some inauspiciousness that results from some offenses, but we cannot really specify the actual offensive act. So Harinam Chintamani describes that we should then chant incessantly or as much as possible. Yeah. Sometimes we've done that as a cell. is that something's not right. There's some clouds, and I'm not quite sure what it is. Some offense has been made, and I'm getting no taste from the holy name. I'm getting no taste from my devotional activities, and I cannot fathom out why or where. Is it because of anatas? Is it because of offenses? And it's just so then just incessantly chant, you know. Of course, we chant at 16 well, but just incessantly chant. Sometimes I've done that before, just chanting while I'm eating bashad, chanting while I'm queuing up for bashad, chanting while I'm in the bathroom, chanting while I'm going up the stairs, chanting while I'm going down the stairs, you know, chanting when I'm outside, chanting when I'm inside, just chanting, you know, take complete shelter of the holy name. So sometimes we need to do that. Incessant chanting is described. Yeah. So we find that it's described if we do that, then in time the offenses will diminish, and then one will gain the holy name's mercy. Again, will shine. Yeah, so now we're going to look at. We might not get there this week, but we're going to be looking at the effects of the offenses to the holy name and the intricacies of their removal. Yeah, we'll be looking at that. Probably get to that next week. Now, Marge, what he brings out here, he says sometimes devotees make a mistake thinking that the offenses to the holy name is something committed only during kirtan or while chanting japa. After all, it says the 10 offenses to the holy name. But actually, it can be, we can commit offenses any time of the day while engaged in any type of activity. These offenses apply or not apply, or they can be made. Yeah, so why is this? So all the other, because the holy name is the Dharma for the age, all the other devotional practices, they are subject to the king of the holy name. You follow? So the king, he takes it as an affront if you offend his subjects. So in the same way, the Dharma or the Yuga Dharma of the holy name and his other angas of the acts of devotional service, if you make an offense there, that is an offense to the holy name. Yeah. So the holy name takes as an offense, an affront, an offense made during the performance of any devotional activity. And then one particular, the last one here, one that deserves special mention, because Bhaktivinoda Tagore mentions that this is the root generally of all other offenses. And this is inattentive, chanting to the holy name, pramada. Yeah. So one may avoid all the other offenses, being attentive to all devotional service, but if one's inattentive while chanting, their devotional activities will not actually bear fruit. Yeah, so one may be very attentive to their other devotional services, but if they're scatterbrained during the chanting and not trying to chant with attention, and they're deliberately distracted, then they won't experience the joy or ecstasy that comes through the pure name or through chanting. What actually happens that one sows the seeds of bad habits that sprout into weeds of material desire. Yeah. You follow that? So consistent, inattentive chanting with no program or desire to improve, then that's going to one's previous conditioning or material desires is going to grow and manifest and take basically, unless corrected or less uprooted, one may well give up the practice of devotional service and be distracted by trying to fulfill material desires, all because of inattentive chanting. Yeah. So Now we did look at this before, but we're going to speak about it again because it's very interesting. Haridas Thakur or Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's quoting Haridas Thakur. Um, so as you know, he's the ultimate authority in the holy name. He describes three types of inattentiveness, and they're here. So apathy, laziness, and distraction. Yeah. So these are kind of, he mentions these are synthesis of the, remember the of the five obstacles to steady devotion: sleep, distraction, and so on. Yeah. These five obstacles. The synthesis of all of these manifests as this: apathy, laziness, and distraction. Yeah. So now these are mentioned because these are the most, or these are the common impediments to pure devotion. It's these three: being apathetic, being lazy, and being distracted. So as we mentioned before, apathy, it refers to lack of enthusiasm in a chanting. And we do have to be enthusiastic in chanting. So enthusiastic in chanting for japa doesn't mean we jump up and down in a temple room and we're, you know what I mean? Enthusiastic, like we're sitting down and we're ready to be attentive to the holy name. We're enthusiastic to chant. We want to be attentive and we're enthusiastic to have that purpose in mind. And we may just be sitting down, but within that internal world, there is an enthusiasm for wanting to fix our mind on the sound vibration of the holy name. Yeah. Now, being apathetic means you don't really care. You don't really have a desire to chant with attention. You're just apathetic. You're chanting, but you're not really interested in trying to be absorbed in the holy name. Now, it's quite a challenge because we chant the holy name every day of our lives. So we have to be enthusiastic every day of our lives. But you find if you're enthusiastic in one japa, that will make you enthusiastic for your next japa. You know, it has an effect. If you are enthusiastic and you're sincerely trying to meditate upon the holy name, that's going to infuse you. And you're going to carry that enthusiasm to your next chanting. And gradually, if you're every day, if you're chanting, trying to chant with attention, namabas, and trying to fix the mind, that's going to have its cumulative effect. So each time you sit down to chant, it'll be a wonderful transformational experience. Well, most times. Yeah. So apathetic, so we shouldn't be apathetic to anything in devotional service, so especially when it comes to our chanting. Any questions or comments, please feel free to ask, or anything to share on these points. Yeah. So Alexander G, you have raised, yeah.
Yes, I have a question about this when we unintentionally or unknowingly commit an offense. If offenses obscure taste in chanting, is the blockage cognitive, emotional, or relationship? In other words, does it lie in the mind, in the heart, or in a devotee's connection with others? Where where do can we pay attention first to recognize this?
Well, it's kind of all pervading, it's kind of everywhere.
Hmm.
It's in the heart, it's in the mind, and it can affect, unless addressed, and it may affect our relationship with devotees. Yeah. So it's, I mean, it's there. It kind of, it's like a cloud. It's like a cloud that hangs over our psyche. And it may, unless it's addressed, it may even affect our interaction with the devotees. Yeah. So by chanting attentively, then then it purifies everything. Everything becomes, you become reinstated. Yeah. Okay. Did that help?
Yeah, Hari.
Yeah. That's from my experience anyway. It seems to be everywhere. Yeah. So So laziness, we mentioned this. I had a we got on one a couple of weeks ago. Dozing or not caring to pronounce the names properly. Yeah, that was a big wake up call for me. I was chanting next to my spiritual master. He did a japa font many years ago, a sponsored japa to raise money for one project in India. So devotees were sponsoring how many rounds you could chant. So it was an all-day thing, going right to night, to 12 o'clock at night. And I was chanting, and my Guru Maharaj gravely informed me that you're not chanting the Maha Mantra. So it's a bad habit that I got into. So it took some time for me to correct my chanting. Yeah. So we shouldn't be lazy in that regard. We should make sure we are chanting the holy names properly. Yeah. And especially we shouldn't be dozing or etc. Yeah, we should, if we're feeling sleepy, we should stand up, etc. So distraction means allowing the senses and mind to wander here and there. That's why close your laptop, close your computers, and there's a whole many classes on this type of thing. Put your phones away, create some sacred space. Turn your phone upside down, turn it off, chant in a place where there's going to be no distraction. Yeah. So these three things, these are three kinds of inattention: apathy, laziness, and distraction. Now, because we need Bhakti Devi's shelter, Miraj brings out here that we need the shelter of Bhakti Devi. So when we lose that interest in receiving shelter, then Marge mentions here one is beset by an intense hankering for wealth, sex, position, and other anarthas. So we really need the shelter of Bhakti Devi. So to show that, we should be free of apathy, laziness, and distraction, especially in our japa, in all of our devotional activities. So how can we stop chanting inattentively? So here's some advice which is given here. We should desire a solution. Yeah. We don't want to have the attention span of a pigeon. If you've seen pigeons or birds, attention span of a few seconds. Yeah. So we should desire a solution that we need to improve. Yeah. And we should chant daily, and we made vows to chant daily, but if it's really chronic, then we want to make arrangements that we can chant in the company of advanced devotees who have a natural attraction for the holy name. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before, my experience in the chanting japa in a temple room when I first joined. Devotee called Purna Chandra, later Maharaj, who has since left his body a few years ago. But he was an exceptional Vaishnava. He's a disciple of Prabhupada. And he would sit and chant japa with his eyes closed. And he looked to be in effortless bliss. With a broad smile on his face, he would be chanting Hare Krishna and his head would be going back and forward like he was swimming in the ocean of nectar. And he'd sit down at the beginning of japa and close his eyes and not open, and then right all the way to the Didi greeting. And I used to look at him and think, wow, I want that. I also want to do that. He looks so nice. It looks like he's having such a wonderful time chanting japa. So I would sit next to him and I would chant next to him, or I would chant while I would sit the other side so I can directly see him. And that would give me so much inspiration, so much inspiration, you know. And one time I was sitting next to him, I can remember at the end of japa, he opened his eyes and saw me still there. So he gave me a smile and he patted me on the head. So I thought I got some blessings. I was trying to imitate him, I was so inspired by his japa. That was so chant with those who do have attraction. Yeah. A lot of spiritual masters is what they do is they have online japa, isn't it? I know Bibi Govindamaj has that. Who else is that? Janananda Maharaj, I think. They got the video on and they're chanting japa, and all the disciples are tuning in from around the world, different places, So the spiritual master better not fall asleep. So, good you what? So yeah, so chant, so desire a solution. If you're struggling, if you're at home and you're struggling with chant with attention, to make arrangements, coming in a temple on a Sunday, you know, and join the Vaishnavas in the temple room, and sit there and chant with the devotees. Do something. Don't let it become a norm. Yeah. So desire a solution. Chant with those who do have attraction. Um, Also inquire from them. Yeah. Yeah, it's something which we need to do more. There's one Mother Devaki, not our Devaki in London, but Devaki, disciple of Niranjana Swami. She has this wonderful seminar she does, and the book that goes with it's about taking shelter. So we have to learn to take shelter and to inquire from Vaishnavas. For instance, if you see someone and they're chanting attentively, or they look to be chanting attentively and they're seeing a devotee, we should go to them, humbly submit as, oh, my dear Prabhu, please can you share some secrets of your chanting? Please can you, explain your attraction to the chanting of the holy name? We should, that's the culture of shishya, shiksha, that's the culture that we should, it's a culture that as Vaishnavas we should be in, to seek um, blessings and seek instructions from senior Vaishnavas. We're not so trained like this in the West, but in India, it's quite a natural. It's quite natural for juniors to touch the feet of seniors and to beg their permission. It's just a natural, and it's just naturally it seems to be in Vaishnavas in India. Of course, Vaishnavas in the West as well, but the culture definitely here. I mean, one time many years ago, I was with Radhaman actually, Radhaman in London, and we got stranded in the Delhi temple for a flight, and we was there for one japa, and there was one, I forget his name, but one Maharaj was there, and the japa period began. But before japa, there was about 30 brahmacharis or 25 brahmacharis, and each one of them came up before japa and bowed down to this sannyasi and begged for permission to chant. It was very sweet to watch. They all came before him, was begging permission and blessings. It was very sweet to see. So inquire from them, desire a solution, chant with those who have attraction, and inquire from them. Beg for mercy of the holy name. Um, yeah, we should beg for mercy of the holy name and the owner of the holy name, that's Krishna. There's many prayers you can recite to the holy name before you begin. There's wonderful prayers by Rupa Goswami, but we should want to beg, like before we take up our japa, we're doing something very special. So we want to make some. It's good sometimes to stop and say some prayers before we actually start chanting. Sometimes we're so, you know, we, we pick up our japa like we're picking up a cup of coffee. It's no big deal. Pick it up. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Better we like this, and make some prayers. Oh, my holy name, please give me some shelter. What I've been doing as well is after I finish my 16 rounds, after I finish my rounds, then I'm praying for forgiveness if I've made any offenses to the holy name. So I pray before, I'm chanting some prayers at the moment called Mana Shiksha before, and after I've finished my rounds, then I'm praying. I'm apologizing for being inattentive. I'm praying to the holy name. So very important to develop the relationship with Nam Prabhu. It's not just don't just pick up your beads like again you're picking up your car keys. It's something very special. So yeah, beg for the mercy of the holy name and chant before Tulsi. It's very powerful. I was remembering Rishambhada Madhav Maharaj. Devotees may know him, may remember him. He's passed away. He's known as affectionately as Tulsi Maharaj, those who know him. And he would chant in the Tulsi's greenhouse. Even in London, he would come and he would sit right at the back of Tulsi, right in the midst of Tulsi. The Tulsi's everywhere and chant holy name. Of course, we chant with Tulsi in the temple room. A lot of you have Tulsi at home, so that's very nice. So you can chant before Tulsi. Yes. So in this way, Maharaj explains by saintly association, freedom from distraction, and determined, confident, and enthusiasm, the neophyte's devotional practices become steady. So let me read that again. In this way, by saintly association, freedom from distractions, and determined, confident, and enthusiasm, the neophyte's devotional practices become steady. Yeah, Maharaj mentions then that Krishna consciousness is systematic. When we do it properly, we get the results. Yeah. Then he mentions failure to follow the prescribed rules and regulations not only spoils one's advancement in devotion, but it creates further obstacles. That's the essence of what we've been explaining so far. Okay. So, next slide. Any questions on that? Now, weeding the garden of devotion. This is spoken of in Madhya Lila, teachings to Rupa Goswami. Very wonderful part of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, yeah, so while instructing, so Lord Chaitanya is instructing Rupa Goswami, Rupa Shiksha, he gives a warning of the bad habits that arise from improperly performed devotional service. So improper devotional service creates bad habits. This is what we mentioned. Yeah, here. Where was it? Here. Yeah. Yeah. So there was one seminar I was attending, and there was a part of the seminar was breaking up into sharing with each other. And one devotee was quite honest, and he explained to me how he was one, yeah, he was temple president, and the temple was going very well. There was book distribution, etc., even a few new devotees, and each and he was the other senior devotees were offering him praise to him for the temple and himself as well. And from that, he started to become proud. He started to delight in that praise as being evidence that he is a good manager, a good temple president. So he started to see everything in the temple was going on because of him. He was explaining this because of him. And that actually he's doing better than anyone's ever done. Yeah. And even he considered that he even stopped consulting others because like he was a he knew what to do. He knew how to manage. He was expert, but he didn't know that a lot of decisions he was making was actually causing a lot of grief and stress to many Vaishnavas. You know. At the same time, he was just admitted he was struggling with sex desire, and he was trying to hide it. He was trying to immerse himself in so much devotional service, trying to hide. He's he's struggling more and more with sex desire. So because he was proud, so he lost a taste of the holy name. And so eventually he fell down. But he got, he's practicing devotional service now, but it was a good lesson for him because here described that, for instance, sincere devotees, um, even sincere devotees is mentioned here, sometimes delight in the veneration of fame or the trappings that come from being recognized as a Vaishnava. So that's one here. Yeah. So the problem is that often these weeds can grow beside the creeper of devotion, and one might not immediately recognize them to be weeds. Sometimes you have to look twice in your garden to identify, well, what is an actual weed. So if you're an expert gardener, you can see the weeds. So if you're very attentive in your devotional practice, then you can identify quickly the weeds. Yeah. But sometimes, and we do have to know it, because sometimes we may not recognize it. Like the example of this devotee who revealed that he didn't see it. He didn't see it. He didn't identify his becoming proud. He wasn't able to identify that until it was too late. So yeah, Lord. Here's a few of these mentioned here. Let's just read the translation or the words. Yeah. Some unnecessary creepers growing with the bhakti creeper are the creepers of behavior, unacceptable for those trying to attain perfection. Diplomatic behavior, animal killing. I guess that is a bit of a purple. It's good to ask what exactly. There's probably some context with that. Mundane profiteering, mundane adoration, mundane importance. So one becomes attracted. One starts to be very diplomatic, in managing. Especially got to be careful when one is managing a temple or managing a project. Sometimes one becomes very diplomatic and not straightforward. Yeah, this is all weeds. There's all weeds growing in the garden of devotion. Yeah. Mundane adoration, mundane importance, they're all unwanted creepers. Yeah. Now, how to eradicate these weeds? Well, one should have some well-wishers that can pinpoint specific unwanted habits. Yeah. So we should have such relationships. Yeah. We should not become an island. We heard that saying that that the no man is an island. Yeah. We should have some relationships as such where good, well-intentioned friends and well-wishers may point some things out for our well-being. It may be peers. So often this is peers, So we should want to listen to well-wishers. So of course, the spiritual master is the ultimate well-wisher. So we want to hear directions that's coming from the spiritual master, from the senior devotees. So they may pinpoint specific unwanted habits.
Can I just ask something?
Yes, please, yes.
Okay, if you in the temple you see somebody, an elderly devotee.
You see again? Say again.
You see an elderly devotee.
Senior devotee, yeah.
Yeah, senior devotee. Associating, like keeping company with younger devotees, and you can feel like you want to help that person by making them realize, look, it's good if you have association of your own age or older people. but without causing. Should you do it or should you just leave it? That's what my mind's been like that for a while now. Should you help or not help? There isn't that kind of a friendly relationship. I mean, the relationship is there because you're in the temple, but you know, like Bharat Maharaj, if somebody had told him about the deer, like that you know where you should be going now at your age, I don't know.
Well, it would be good, especially if your intentions are good and it's coming from a good place. Then what you're actually doing is you're doing a great service to that devotee. If you're observing something and your intentions are good and you're not coming from an envious place, then don't hold back. I mean, you may be tactful of when and how, but find you're giving some invaluable help to this particular devotee. I mean, I've had that experience where I've seen devotees going in a certain direction and I keep putting it off, putting it off, putting it off, and I don't say anything. And then one thing leads to another, and the devotee leaves the temple or something. And and a few times I should have said something. So we want, especially if we're not coming from a place of envy, and we're coming from a place of intention, then we'd be good if we can see a specific opportunity in which we may speak to this specific devotee and give him some good, well-intentioned advice. So I would say you're seeing that, you're seeing a devotee, you're seeing that, and it'd be good for you, and it'd be good for the devotee as well if you may bring it up in an opportune time.
Yeah.
From experience, sometimes I leave things and I don't mention things to devotees, and one thing happens, one thing leads to another, and I think, oh, I should have said something.
Because I have my two boys, they really keep me really straight. Like,
Yeah.
they're both so heavy. Mom, at your age, you don't need to know this. We are only sons in this life, like that preaching. So they keep me really. So now I see this nice devotee, and I feel like, at our age, this human birth is so rare to get. We really got to make it. And plus, we're getting older, the bodies are not so strong. So
yeah, what you can do is you could want to, if you have that concern, that compassionate concern, then you want to strike up a friendly relationship and strike up an avenue where you can speak to this devotee. And then in your conversations, then you may bring up things, you may bring up observations, in a humble way.
Yeah.
All right, so
Thank you.
yeah, so where was we? Yes.
Can I just quickly ask on that question? But when you say associating with younger devotees, but in what sort of way? As Mother said that I see that the elder devotees is associating with younger, but in what manner? Is it like offensive manner or? Maybe I missed that part. But
perhaps Chandravali can correct me if I'm wrong, but what I think she means is that devotees only associating with younger devotees. He's not associating much with peers or seniors.
Oh, right. Okay.
Well, is that what he's meaning, Chandravali?
Yeah.
Stopping the progress in his devotional.
Yeah, the point is that we always need senior association, peers, definitely. And
like we ourselves need association. It's okay. We can serve younger devotees. We can be with, cook for them, but for our progress, we also need that senior devotees association.
We need seniors, we need peers as well. We need peers,
like
friends that can
Yeah.
Oh, Oh, I understand. Yes, I agree. Yeah.
As well. We just don't want to be associating with junior devotees.
Mm.
Also, we just don't want to be associating with senior devotees. In a sense, we should have some peers as well,
Mm.
the
Mm.
same level as us, you know. So these,
Yes.
yeah, are there. Okay.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. So Marge mentions here early rising. I'm sure all of you are up before 11 o'clock. So attending the morning program or having a program at home of a strong sadhana at home. Most of you are doing that. You're at home and having a good program. You have your deities, you have your space, you have your japa time, you know, maintaining strict Vaishnava conduct. And Maj also, he mentions here, avoiding mundane movies, he mentions. Now, this may, of course, this may indicate residual material impressions that are still lingering in the mind. Yeah, one's still fanning these residual material impressions that are in the mind. It may, this may indicate a weakness in sadhana. I mean, some devotees have this problem. I mean, some don't, some do. Some devotees do well at sometimes they're not. I mean, there are some who are constantly watching mundane films like every week, I can't imagine it myself. But it's not unknown, unfortunately, especially this day and age that, everything's there on YouTube and etc. So it can be easy be a distraction. And it may be indicative that one has strong impressions are still there within the mind. One is spending one's week, their sadhana's week, so they're doing less cheering and chanting. And they're seeking some type of relaxation or escape. So they're going to their old habits or they're going to material things for relaxation or escape. I mean, there's one friend of mine, he was watching this nonsense. And he was watching this nonsense on his computer, and I happened to see it. And I said, "What's going on, man?" He says, and then he explained, well, sometimes it's really tough, I really feel the pressure. And I just watch this stuff just to, I just watch it like, to get some type of escape, But it's better there's something Krishna conscious you can do you can pick up and chant a couple of rounds, you can and listen to a bhajan, you can do so many spiritual things. We should learn to do that when we're feeling the pressure, not that we go back to our old habits of mundane things, yeah? So habits from a previous lifestyle, yeah? So we shouldn't be encouraged. We shouldn't be, we should be encouraged, but we shouldn't be discouraged. Sometimes it may mean that you can ask, so like, how do you feel after you watch that? How's your consciousness? Oh my God, I feel like, well then, what do you expect? You're watching this nonsense, so we can recognize the influence on one's consciousness. So gradually we've got to place it with Krishna Gata, yeah, and strengthen sadhana. And also mentions food cooked by non-devotees. Yeah, it's a strong form of sangha, actually. A strong way to associate with someone is to eat the food they cooked. So just keep that in mind next time you might go to a restaurant. Okay, if you're in Mayapur, there's all devotees. But anyway, still, you should be careful. So yeah, it said in the Mahabharata that you shouldn't eat food cooked by someone you don't know. Think about that. It's taken very seriously, actually, food in Vaishnava culture. Who's actually cooking the food? Alexanderji?
Prabhuji, when it comes to association, should I listen to my mind or to my heart? Like which subtle signal reveals a devotee who truly fosters my growth, not just impresses the mind?
should listen to your mind or to your heart? Well, it depends what you mean exactly by the
Because
mind.
when you associate with them, because I know senior, the benefit of associating with them, they're actually telling you the truth. They are not trying to be polite or to compliment you, to praise you. They actually tell you the truth. But at the same time, they sometimes it's not necessarily nourishes you in
Not
in a full
necessarily
extent.
what?
Nourishes you.
Nourish you.
I mean, mentally you are impressed by him, but so it's kind of hard to distinguish. Should I listen to my heart or to my mind? When it, because the advice is to associate with those that are equal, like yourself. And
Yeah.
so, what should you go for? I'm not sure if I made myself clear.
I'm not sure if I understood your question fully, grasped it. Should you listen to your, generally, from first impressions of what you're saying, depends, listen to the heart, but it depends on what stage of purification we are at, whether we're qualified to listen to our heart. You know, our heart may be telling us, heart may be full of anarthas. Okay, if you're somewhat purified, you can meditate and take directions from Krishna within, you know, and also, you know, take direction from the mind. Again, that can be you're taking your chances if you don't have a purified mind. So really, at our stage, we want to we want to take direction from Guru, Sadhu, and Sastra. Yeah, rather than from our own conditioned mind or our own conditioned heart. You know, there may be some intuitions that we fathom from the depths of our heart in a particular direction, but we want to clarify that again with Guru, Sadhu, and Sastra. You know, and as far as taking direction from particular Vaishnavas who are giving us a particular advice, and it may not gel with us, it may not resonate with us, we have to be somewhat careful in that it's not resonating with us because of our particular conditioned nature, or it might be our false ego is getting in the way. So we don't want to resonate with it. We don't want to gel with it. So it's very, very personal, but there's some general directions that we should want to, you know, if a specific advice or direction comes from a Vaishnava, it may not immediately gel with us. We shouldn't reject it outright. We should want to, okay, think about it, dwell on it, meditate upon it, and also speak to other Vaishnavas as well. You know, we should learn to take. It said you should learn to take gold even from a filthy place. Yeah. So good directions can come from anyone at any time. Krishna's going to want to communicate something to us. And he may do it through the Vaishnavas, or he may do it through some other means. Yeah, so we always want to be on the lookout for that direction that's coming from Krishna. You know? And sometimes, as you mentioned, some advice may come from a Vaishnava or Vaishnavi that you have to think about. You have to dwell on it. You have to think about it, you know. And sometimes it might be just this of a wisdom. You may have to learn, you know, you may go in a certain direction given by a devotee, a well-meaning devotee, but that direction that you go in seems to be not the direction which was good for you. So you may have to backtrack. So then you've learned, you know, you have to learn, you know. Sometimes we have to learn by going the wrong way and coming back from where we started from. And it's very subtle points you're bringing up here, but I know that's of help. You know?
Yeah, I was thinking on that point as well.
Yeah.
When somebody's saying something or has come up with something, then you have to like think, take your time and think, why did Krishna want me to listen to that? What's there for me to learn? Put it in your life. And
Yeah,
then
that's good. Yeah. What is there for me to learn? Yeah.
that.
What is
Yeah.
there for me to think about it again? Yeah. How am I going to apply that? What can I learn from this?
Or something might be going on in the life before, and then all of a sudden this sentence comes up, or this person says something. Maybe it's that way. Maybe I need to do it this way.
Yeah.
Like meditate on when somebody says something. There's a reason why Krishna is saying something through a devotee.
Yeah, that's amazing you say that, because yesterday I was having a sangha with one devotee, one godbrother of mine, and we're not getting into the details of we're speaking Krishna Katha, reading like that. And he said something which just clicked with me. It just clicked like anything, and it was something it was a very specific instruction, which I felt was coming after a good few years of not being clear on the specific aspect of my sadhana. And he said something in that conversation yesterday that just went, wow, that's it. That's what I have to do in my sadhana. And it was like it was a gift I was given by Krishna for meditating for I don't know, for some time. It seemed he came. So today I was meditating on that more. That came from him. That came from me. And I was feeling so clear and so enthusiastic about the specific practice of my sadhana. It just came, that direction came from him. I mean, even unknowing to him, it was just a general conversation we're having about application of sadhana and different types of sadhana that devotees do. And I've had this, I won't go into details to bore you, I had this specific confusion about direction of sadhana and type of sadhana, but he just cleared it up and it felt like a gift. So it was definitely coming from Krishna, for example. Yeah. So it's mystical, actually. How Krishna directs us in our spiritual life is often very mystical. It will come at the right time. Yeah, we may have some questions and things may not be clear, but perhaps we're not qualified at this point to get the clear direction. But at some point, if we continue and we're sincere, then the answers will come and the direction will come. Now it's getting a bit late here. It's getting near midnight here, so perhaps we better pause. And yeah, we are going a bit slow through this, so I hope you don't mind. But next week, perhaps we're going to finish this chapter. No, we will actually. I want to finish this chapter. Nope. We're just going to read this letter from Prabhupada, and that's to finish. That will finish next week, okay? Boiling the milk. All right. Any closing comments or questions from anyone?
Prabhupada, just add to what
Yes,
you said.
Sejal, please. Yes.
Yeah. We had a class yesterday, Bhagavad Gita class, and there were two very nice things that stuck on my head. And Prabhu said, if you come through a situation where you're going through a difficulty or something like that, you just have to think, what do I need? What is Krishna trying to teach me from this?
Yeah, tate nukampam, yeah.
Yeah, and then how does Krishna want me to respond to this before, reacting or responding to a certain situation? So those two things really stuck to me, and I think that's quite an
very good. Yeah, very good. Yeah, so you had that instruction yesterday, and sometimes it may be from your perspective you've been dealt with unfairly and in an unjust way. It's good if you can ask that question at that point.
Yeah.
Put that aside, and what is Krishna trying to teach me here? Has it? Yeah.
It's very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, let's pause there and look forward to having your Sangha next week. Same time, same place on the computer. Okay. Hare
Singing.
Krishna. Gaura
Hare
Premanande.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu,
Hare
so much.
Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Amazing. That
Hare
was really good.
Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Ram. Hare Ram. Ram
Ram,
Ram.
ram,
Hare
ram. Hare Hare.
Hare.